Good morning, everyone, to our next episode of the NRG podcast. As you will be hearing, this is not our normal. Yes, Ross.
What number episode is this? Nick always says that.
Oh,
Well, he does, you know. He does.
This is actually where we're at. I'm a traitor and I shouldn't be here. This is purely for us to say thank you to you, Nick, for what you do for the podcast. I am not meant to be doing any intros because I am, as you can tell, rubbish at it. But literally, I've tried to hijack this so that we can publicly thank you for all of the work you do for us on the podcast. Well, I don't do any. Ross does less than me. And that's just where we're at. So we're super grateful for everything you do. So I shouldn't be doing this, but I'm going to keep running with it. So I don't know. Is it 37? Yeah, episode.
Yes,
37.
it is.
Thank you, Ross.
37.
How did you know that? Did you check?
I just remember the last one.
I'm impressed you even managed that.
I remember things. Don't worry about that.
Yeah, right. So,
I read them.
as Nick says, quick round the houses, starting with you, Roscoe.
Playing some polo, having some fun, and ready to get into this podcast with this amazing guest we've got.
Good. Nicholas.
UK trip, amazing. Spent some time with the family, spent some time with my two mates, which was very, very good fun. And brought some clients to Oxford Polo, where they were extremely well looked after by David, Sarah, Hector, Katie, the grooms and the horses. Amazing facility, Oxford Polo. We had a superb time. So thank you very much for that. And as you will all know, I have been sacked from my intro duties. Mandy is going to be furious. Mandy, I'm sorry. Mandy, I'm sorry. Rosie, I'm sure going to be equally disappointed. All of my family and my mother. Well, as long as she gets to hear Ross, she'll be fine. But other than that, it's yeah. She just wants to have a look at look at him walk. Ooh.
That's so funny.
Good.
So obviously we've got to have a quick chat about our live event that we did. That was nuts. I thought that was so much fun. We had a heap of hits on our live stream that Taya did and that Jess did. I really enjoyed it. How did you guys? What did you think?
Well, I thought we were going to get like one person there, maybe Dave, because he runs the place. And then I think it was about 40 people. That was pretty cool.
Yeah,
it was great. I was a little bit nervous. It's like when you have a party at home when you're at school and you think, oh, nobody's going to show up. Nobody's going to show up. But it was, yeah. Obviously, there was people were a little bit. We were a little bit behind on the schedule. So when there was nobody there at the time we were supposed to start, and I saw three people get out of the car and walk towards him, I was like, well, at least we've got three guests. And I was like, oh, fellas, thanks very much for coming out. And they were like, no, we just work in the bar.
Yeah. And then Karen and Lucci arrived, my wife and daughter, and we're like, okay, we're getting there.
But yeah, it was great fun, and the feedback was fantastic. So thanks to everybody who came out. I know it was cold, but to get insights from Roscoe and Glenn was absolutely fantastic. So hope everybody found it useful, and it has certainly whetted our appetite. I'm not sure the polo community can take more, but it's certainly whetted our appetite for doing more.
Absolutely. I absolutely loved it. And two things to come out. Obviously, we did have lots of hits, and I really enjoyed watching Ross, even though I've got to see him ride a lot. I thought the riding display you did, Ross, in the arena on that mare was outstanding.
Oh, my God. It was amazing.
Yeah. So
Jerry.
That was really cool. Plus the unveiling of the next generation of saddle.
Oh, my God. I rode in it for the first time yesterday. It is unbelievable.
How many
coloured saddle?
How many hits you had on that video?
There's last counted 35,000 views of the unveiling, and we're just shy of 50 comments, which are generally, "Oh my God, I need to have that saddle in my life."
Wow! Would you make some more, Ross?
Probably. They're fun. Bespoke saddles, we can do anything, but I don't think I'm going to make it to sit on the shelf. We'll just make them special occasions.
Okay. Oh, there you go. You heard it here first. So
come on, Glenn. Come on, get on with the intro, will you?
Rightio.
I don't ramble on like this.
No. So, guys, unfortunately, this week we were deeply saddened to learn of the death of Howard Hipwood. I was lucky enough to play against Howard a lot. I saw him play all over the world, and he was an unbelievable legend of the English polo team. He succeeded his brother Julian to the captaincy of the English team in 1992. He won the Queen's Cup 70, 72, 74, 76, 82, just to show how much of a legend he was. And I remember myself gauging on how I was going as someone that was a good back in polo or whatever, whether or not I could ride Howard off. I remember the first day I won a ride off against him, because most of the time you just got demolished. And I was like, oh my God, I think I might actually feel like I belong out here a little bit. But just an incredible guy, an incredible player. And to Ollie and his family, we're really, really sad. So have you had much to do with Howard, Ross?
Not a lot to do with Howard. You played with him a high goal season too, I remember. I've had a lot to do with Ollie, and our thoughts go out to the entire family. It's very sad, and he was a juggernaut. That guy, he was. I remember playing against him in Holland, of all places, and he's a juggernaut.
Yeah. And you, Nick, did you have anything to do with Howard?
No, I didn't. I never had the pleasure of meeting the man, but I've met Ollie a couple of times, and just want to echo your sentiment there that it's we're all very sad, and best wishes to the whole Hipwood, for Ollie and the whole Hipwood family.
Roscoe?
The one thing that's really amazing that gets sort of glanced over a bit, when you get someone like that and his brother Julian and you when you were 8 goals, it's actually to look at players like that are amongst their peers so much better than everyone else, like you within Australia, those guys within England. That's the amazing part. They haven't got 10 goalers dragging them up, and their average player around them is 8, 9, 10 goals, but they still got. So same with Sinclair Hill, they still got to that level of being so good. That's the amazing thing about those sort of characters. Yeah. The drive and determination is very impressive.
No, completely. And Nick said this to me during the week when he was like, right, well, you've got to do the intro. He said, if you're going to talk about Howard, please make sure you've got a funny story for him. So I'm going to send off Howard NRG style with a story when he was in Australia, and Kerry had everyone there, and there was Howard Hipwood, Jim Gilmore, my uncle, my father, Stuart Gilmore, and Lance Shepherd. So the 4 of them played as Elliston Grey, I think they were, because there was a white with Kerry, a black with James, and grey. They were Elliston Grey. And it was 26 goal or whatever it was. So they got up there, and Kerry made every single team do a karaoke. It wasn't, you didn't get a chance, you had to do it. So he drove the semi-trailer, Channel 9 semi-trailer full of
costumes,
fancy dress costume stuff, all the way to Elliston, 5-hour drive in a semi-trailer, parked it out the front of the clubhouse. And during the last 2 days before you were going to do your fancy dress on the Saturday night, you had to get in there and do it. Now, there was a whole bunch of people, like the Heggies did one, Adam Snow, Mike Todd, DJ, all the patron, everyone had to do one. Anyway, the girls thought it would be hilarious. The wives thought it would be hilarious for Howard, Dad, Jim, and Shep to do Itsy Bitsy Teeny Weeny Yellow Polka Dot Bikini. So they made little bikinis for these 4. Well, Howard was just a giant of a man, and then Dad, Jim, poor buggers were built like Gilmore's, and then and Shep as well, who was just the loveliest bloke. Anyway, about 3 or 4 days before that, Kerry had done a paintball session. So they're out there, and they went about 15 minutes out of the road from Elliston, get up to this paddock, and it was all set up for paintball. Everyone had all their camo on. Everyone was shooting. And Kerry had a full-on automatic paintball gun that he could shoot anyone wherever he wanted to do whatever. And I remember Henry Brett was running down around under the creek to try and get away from it. It was a dry creek bed, but he was sort of hiding from everyone and not sort of playing the game the way he should. So Kerry started just shooting at him from up on top while he was watching everything. Anyway, Lance Shepherd thought it'd be funny to go up a tree, thought he'd have a better place to shoot people from, but everyone turned on him and they just all got underneath the tree and just peppered him with paintballs. So, I mean, he was properly peppered. He eventually had to say, look, stop. So when he goes up on the stage to do it, he's got purple bruises all over his stomach, all over his back, all over his legs. And then Linda, his wife, had written on there $5 hooker and $5 all this sort of stuff while they sang the Itsy Bitsy. And Mum said yesterday that to see Howard Hip would be such a good sport and get up and sing that in front of everyone in a small polka dot bikini like that in front of everyone was a pretty cool thing. So I thought that was pretty amazing for Howard to do that.
Right.
So
Very cool.
anyway, that is that about Howard, and we as we said, condolences to his family. On to our guest. Now, this lady, born in WA, I know I met her in '93 in England, and when you look at her Facebook, you can see that she was in New Zealand in '95, Sota Grande in '96, and round the world playing polo. Playing polocrosse. She's one of the best polocrosse players that has ever played for Australia. I think she's only just been pipped, maybe this year, for the most capped player. She played for Australia in polocrosse from 2001 to 2015. Only ever lost one international game, semi-final versus South Africa in 2015 World Cup. I think it was there's Will Weston, Lucy Grills have just passed her this year. She captained the Australian team, men and women, in 2013 to 2015. One I really want to talk to her about is when she coached the USA team, which was pretty cool, and coached them to the fourth in the 2011 World Cup. Been coaching the Australian women since 2017. She played polo, polocrosse, pony club, show jumping, did Western riding. She's a fifth generation horse trainer and breeder, third generation polo and polocrosse player. Her father was the Australian polocrosse captain, and her daughter has also played for Australia, which is three generations. Her father played off 4 goals, grandfather 6 goals, and Jane Marriott. Wow, welcome. What a resume.
That is a serious resume.
That is unbelievable. Well done. Wow.
Thanks for having me on the show. I'm excited to chat to you guys.
It's been awesome. I've listened to a few of your podcasts that you've done with the American guy. What's his name, Jane?
Ryan Murphy.
Yeah, and that's
the
a
one.
polocrosse-related podcast.
Yes.
Yeah. It's pretty good. There was some really interesting stuff on there, and I really enjoyed it. So, I've got something sent to me by Kent Wells that I'm really interested to just find out a little bit about. Papua New Guinea. How has Papua New Guinea been involved in polocrosse?
There were some Australians up there way back in the day.
Yeah.
And
It
they
says
were
here
obviously working.
1976.
And they were obviously working up there, and then a number of them, mostly from Queensland and New South, went up there, and they used to have competitions with, I don't know how many of the locals, mainly expats that were from majority Australia, some New Zealand, that played up there.
Speaking of the tropics and random places where they play polocrosse, I was walking on a beach in the Daintree, which is, for anyone not in Australia, is a seriously long way north in Queensland, and I found a polocrosse ball on the beach, washed up. Is there polocrosse up there, or is that the freakiest thing that ever happened?
Oh, it could have come from Papua New Guinea.
But how bizarre was that? Not only did I find it on a beach in the Daintree, which is a million miles from anywhere, that a person that actually knew what it was even found it. That was just a freak event. I thought there must be a club up there or someone keen up there that's just lost it on the beach, but it seems very remote. Anyway.
How far is Vanuatu from there?
It's a long swim. They play there too, do they?
Well, they did. They did. They had 22 horses on the island that they used to play polocrosse on, and somebody stole 12.
What?
So that left them only with 10, and then they couldn't play anymore because they didn't have enough to make 2 teams.
Vanuatu isn't that big an island, is it?
Well, I don't know whether they ate them or what you do, where you hide them. I don't know what.
They're French. They're eaten for sure. They're a barbecue. That's a big barbecue.
Sure.
But I've sent polo ponies to Vanuatu as well.
Slight generalisation there. Just want to.
Sorry to all our French listeners.
Yeah. Whatever, Ross.
So I've sent polo ponies there too, to Vanuatu.
Have you really?
Yeah. I sent one of the best stallions we've ever had there by accident. I didn't realise he was so good until
Did you get him back?
No. And they're not even playing there now. He's just sitting in a paddock. I'm like, yeah. But anyway, right, let's go.
Yes, Jane.
Jane's got a question.
How was it by accident?
Yeah, good
But
call.
they wanted polo ponies, and I was like, it was a nice stallion, but he wasn't super soft. And we'd use him. We tend to use those stallions that we haven't tried for like 1 or 2 seasons, and then wait until we see what the progeny goes like. And then, so we'd used him and got a heap of foals, and then they liked him, and he wasn't really soft. He was a nice type, and so I just went, oh yeah, fine, you buy him. And then these horses started coming through. Like one year, I sent 9 horses to England as 6-year-olds, and they were all by that horse, geldings and mares, as 6-year-olds to England, and went and played the 18 goal. It's a big call.
Wow.
That stallion was amazing. Geldings and mares too.
Mate, go and get him from Vanuatu. Take him home.
Most of those horses I played yesterday, Glenn, and Archie David, were by him.
Go and get him.
How old would he be?
Not that old. He'd be 15, maybe.
Why don't you go and get him?
Yeah, should do.
Let's do an A-team episode and go and get him.
Dun, 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 dun.
Well, the other thing is
Impossible.
the other thing you run into when you start breeding a lot is your genetics, as you would have found, Jane, I'm sure, and we'll get on to it later. Your gene pool gets quite small. So even if we did have him, we couldn't actually use him because he's been such a big influence on what we've got. Yeah,
just send him to Australia. I'll use him.
Yeah, well, he'd go well in Australia.
It's not far to Jane's place.
Shorten the actions up, and so easy to train.
On accidental stallions, most of the Turling's horses, Sinclair Hills, go back to a horse called Dio Giovanti. Mm-hmm. Sinclair, as far as I'm aware, ended up with him because of a large accident made by a horse transporter. So the transporter was transporting 2 yearling colts. One had never been out of a stable. It was a very fancy thoroughbred. It was an important horse. The other was some paddock thing, random colt. And the horse transporter dropped the wrong horse off. And Dio Giovanti ended up getting some sort of cold or virus due to the fact that he'd only ever been in a stable and never been out in the open, was dropped in winter. And then as it went on, he was sold quite cheaply because they thought he had fertility issues and he wasn't going to race. So, and then along came, I don't know how, that Sinclair ended up with him, but he ended up with Dio Giovanti.
Classic.
So, Jane, I want to find out a little bit more about how you got into doing what you're doing, but there's 2 things I want to preface this by. Jeremy sent to me this morning. He said, when Jane went into labour with Ashley, all Dad said was, I hope you have a girl and I hope she puts you through what you put us through. I'm guessing you've heard that one before, Jane, by the look on your face.
I've heard that from my father for 18 years, and he had an opportunity recently to say, I'm so glad you had a girl and I'm so glad she's 18.
And then there's one other thing that just absolutely, so there's 2 people and I've known Jane forever, but there's 2 people that have said something about Jane, and this sums her up. She played a nationals with a broken leg because she broke it when she maybe had a couple of drinks and was too stubborn to admit it, so just kept playing. Is this correct?
Well, loosely.
Okay.
I was at the bar and there were 2 people wrestling and they fell on me and broke my leg.
Right.
Of course they did.
That old chestnut.
Yeah.
It was 2 weeks before nationals. My father was the coach and the doctor wouldn't take the cast off, so my father cut the cast off so I could play at nationals. And I broke it again in the final. Well,
how?
Complete. Well, we went to extra time in the final, and I got run into, and it hadn't completely knitted anyway, but it let go.
Oh,
that would be why I asked about you around New Zealand, and every person that I spoke to, the word extraordinarily tough comes into it
every time.
So that'll be as a polocrosse player. So that'll be one of the reasons why. That is a pretty, that's pretty full on. Glenn, you played with a broken ankle for a bit.
Yeah, I don't think I'm not quite at this level. And then a very good friend of ours, Kent Wells, also said, and he's just done. Did you know that Kent was doing the cap system numbers, Janie? which is exciting. Which I've had a quick look through it, and it's not going to be announced until the Polocrosse Association announce it. But it's a work in progress, and it's pretty cool to see some of the things. And when they ratify it, then we'll be putting that all over our NRG to say how good you are, Janie. And his words were you're an unbelievable horsewoman and a fierce competitor. And having just been pipped by Lucy Grills in the last little bit and Will Weston, the second most capped player in all of polocrosse history. So pretty amazing. So can you tell us a bit how you got into what your family life and what happened?
My family have always had horses. I consider myself lucky to be an Australian. Firstly, I told my daughter a couple of days ago, a lot of countries you can't have horses, and if you can, you need to be very wealthy or have land, or we're lucky to live in Australia. Both my father's family and my mother's family have had horses for a long time. My mother's family goes way back. Both parents played polocrosse. My father played polo. His brother played polo. My mum's brother, my grandfather played polo. My grandparents on mum's side were founding members of polocrosse in Western Australia. And those grandparents, Granny and Grandad, they started the first Australian stock horse stud in Western Australia.
Wow.
My grandfather went away to the war, and he used to play a lot of polo at home, and he decided when he got home he wanted to make his own horses to play polo on, and make a breed that enjoys playing sports, and polo mainly, and then became polocrosse. And I think I've played a lot of polocrosse. I didn't play polo for quite a while. We weren't allowed to play polo, as in the girls in the family. We were allowed to groom and help and ride them at home, but we weren't allowed to play polo for a long time. But we were allowed to play polocrosse all the time and everything else that we did with horses. But I think a lot to do with the longevity of my career in polocrosse especially has been the quality of horses that I've had the privilege of riding, thanks to my grandparents.
So cool.
Yeah, Ross?
What year was that? Was this Australian stock horse stud set up? That's an amazing piece of history you've got there, because that's a big outfit now. Generally, like the decade even. I don't know what
it
dates.
would be in the 40s, 50s, 50s probably. Granddad.
Actually, that makes sense, because you see Radium and all those. I think they were. Oh no, they were before that even.
I can't answer that. I'm sorry. My grandparents went over east. Granddad was playing polo, and Sinclair had been in WA, and he was watching a game and ended up talking to Granddad about his horses. And he wanted to go and have a look, and there was a stallion that he liked of Granddad's. Granddad went over later to Sinclair's, chose 2 Turling stallions and brought them home. And Sinclair got the one that he liked of Granddad's, and those Turling stallions started their stud.
What colour were they?
Pardon?
Were they grey?
Yeah.
One was grey.
So that's where you get all the greys from.
Yeah.
And
just
Granddad used to...
So we know, so Sinclair, for those that don't know Australian polo history or or new to the game, whatever, Sinclair Hill was a former Australian tengola, and a bit of a legend within Australia. He was a hell of a man.
Granddad and Ivan, Granddad first, and then Ivan later, had a lot of breaking a side business of breaking in horses. And they received a truckload of horses from a station up north to break in. One of those was a heavily pregnant mare. Granddad liked the mare. He rang the guy and said, I can't break this horse in. She's very heavily in foal. the guy said, well, you can put her down. And Granddad said, well, no, I really like her. Can I buy her? And so he paid, I think, dog meat prices for this horse, who had a foal a week later. And she was the mother of 9 more foals, mostly by these 2 Sterling stallions. And she was great. And her 9 foals after that first one are a lot of the breeding stock or mares that we are now on the sort of 4th generation, 5th generation of those mares that came from the grey mare.
Including the grey one that was down at Albury when I saw you a couple of months ago.
I had 2 there. One goes directly back to Turling's Winker, which was one of the colts that came from Sinclair. He only sired 2 foals, and then was not fertile. So a horse of ours called Plucker, Eastland Plucker, his mother...
There's a joke in there.
Hey.
We're getting way back. His mother was by Turling's Winker, one of the 2 foals sired by Winker.
And of the 2 horses you mentioned down at Albury, the that doesn't include the stallion you've got there with the Grillses. With Barrendoon.
No.
What's the deal with him?
Pin-Up. So Pin-Up is by Sapling, who is by Blue Gum, who was at Genelong.
Yeah.
Oh, Blue Gum.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Carbetz's.
Yeah, nice. Happy days. So Jane, obviously you've done all of this amazing career of yours, and you've done your polo and your polocrosse. One of our questions that we had for you, and you've worked in and played in both polo and polocrosse. When it comes to the fitness, how do the 2 differ? And I'm guessing we're going to talk about the horse fitness to start with.
Good. I don't know any horses as fit as polo ponies. I've had a lot to do with a lot of different industries, and polo ponies are fitter than racehorses. They're fitter than polocrosse ponies. They're fitter than, maybe endurance horses would be fitter in a different way in their cardio and their lung capacity. But polo ponies, especially ones that are probably not in the professional side, where you can, like a team or a player might have 13, 14 horses to a game, so they can rotate and revolve and get off horses when they're a bit tired. But you go to a sort of medium goal polo tournament where guys only have 6 horses for 6 chukkers. Those horses are fit.
Yeah, they are.
And they need to be. They need to stop, start, turn, go for a long, great distances. Polocrosse ponies, I've always trained mine, as I've learnt to do in the polo world, to make them fitter. They get a lot of short work as well, huge amounts of short work, because they need that as well. But the miles that you do on the polo ponies, I've taken that into my training with polocrosse horses forever.
Can you just give us a little rundown of what your regime would be leading into the season, given that history? What would you do when they first come in to when you start playing them chukkers, practice chukkers in polocrosse or polo, and then keeping them right? Because the one thing I would like you to go into is, because you guys really use the horses a lot during the tournaments, like how do you get them to recover? And there's a couple of questions in there. Sorry about that.
Yeah, I was going to say classic Ainsley question.
I just want all the information now.
I get asked a lot from everyone around the world how to get a horse fit from scratch. And as you know, it's different for a horse that's already been fit.
Very much so.
A young horse or a horse with an injury or a horse that's never been fit, it'll take you longer. My horses that have come in from the off season, I normally plan for 8 weeks to get them fit enough to start playing. 10 weeks to allow for injury or allow for something that may come up to take away from that 8 weeks. If it's a big tournament, I go 12 weeks. To start with, I get them in. I sometimes start a bit earlier as well because it's a process of getting me ready as well. They come in, I might ride them twice that first week, and I brace myself for 3 or 4 times the next week. But I think we discussed this before, trotting, if it was a green horse or a new horse or an injured horse, there would be a lot of trotting. Initially with my horses that have been fit, I don't like to trot a lot. I'll do a bit to warm up, make sure no one's going to buck me off for that first half a lap. I had a near miss yesterday.
Oh.
I didn't trot long enough, obviously. But just to ease them in, check, make sure everyone's sound. Nothing that's come out of the paddock that I didn't perhaps prepare for or expect. So first week of work would be maybe 10, 12 minutes of trotting and then cantering, warming up, cooling down. I'd do that for a week or 2. Depending on each horse, they then get more canter. I never work a horse longer than 20 minutes.
These are on set or singling at this stage?
On set.
On set.
Yeah. For that first month, it's just about all on set. It's just long work, getting miles under them, starting to get that muscle memory, tendons, ligaments, everything back into a stage where they can start taking a bit more of a load. The more we prepare them, the less chance of injury. They're a phenomenal athlete. They're a phenomenal animal. But we push the limits all the time of overworking or expecting, because they're so clever, because they're so good and able, we do too much.
So willing.
Yeah.
Pardon?
So willing.
Very willing, especially when you get those good sport horses that love to do things for you, love to compete, love to please you, especially, and a young one as well. As you would all know, you get a really good young one, it's really easy to do too much on them because it's so exciting and so fun. So by the time I get to week 5 and week 6, I would start picking up a bit of pace on some of that long work. I would add 1 or 2 short work sessions into the week, which would be the racket or stick and balling. I would have chuckers at that time, but they would be very controlled chuckers, and I'm always careful about who I invite to chuckers with either green horses or unfit horses.
Yes, Nicholas.
I don't know about you guys, Nick.
Yeah, when you say very controlled, what do you mean? You're talking ride-offs? Are you talking plays? Speed? What are you talking?
I'm normally talking about who I invite to come along with me to do it, considering there are no trophies in our practice chuckers. Nothing that's... Sorry?
She doesn't want the crazy ones there. They're going to hurt.
No crazies. Oh, we have some people that go better at practice ever than they go in an actual game or a tournament, and they go home and write in their scrapbook who they beat at practice that day, I think.
That would be one Stuart Gilmore as well.
But it's so important, especially on a young horse, that you don't have anyone that's going to run into them or frighten them or hurt them or put them in a situation where they think, I don't actually like this game.
Yeah, exactly.
I think we spoke last time, because to the listeners, this is our second sitting of this podcast. The first one didn't record or something, whatever. But during the last one, you mentioned that you get polocrosse horses. You like taking them to green horse chuckers, in polo green horse chuckers too, to get them a bit exposed, didn't you?
Oh, definitely. I wish there was more polo where I am. I'm about 4 or 5 hours from the closest polo, active polo clubs. But we have a number of people up here who play what we call polo, but it's a very, very loose term. We sort of play crossways across 4 polocrosse fields, so the deck is not that flash. It's bad for wrists and elbows, but it's really good for the horses because they can bowl along. They've got a lot more distance. There's less stopping, starting, less contact. And the chukkers, we might only have 2 chukkers for the day, but they might be 20 minutes long where we're all just poking around, and might be 2 goals scored in that time too, I might say.
Sounds
Yes,
like
Ross.
perfect green horse environment. What do you guys have as part of your season in Western Australia there that's predominantly green horses and then the old ones come in, or do you, how does that work?
For polocrosse?
Yeah.
Yeah. So from March till June is green horse, and there's a number of tournaments, March, April, start of May, and then it's not very wet compared to a lot of places, but then it becomes wet and the horses go out and the others are in, and then our main season starts at the probably first weekend of July normally, and because we're such a big state, we generally have a northern, central, then southern, 3 seasons in one.
Can you just talk
Yeah.
us through the distances between your clubs there?
Yeah, people got no idea.
So where I am, there's 3 clubs within half an hour.
That's not
In
bad.
our zone, there is probably 7 clubs, and we're the northern zone, and we're very much below the centre of Western Australia, so everything's quite south. And then around Perth is the central zone. That's, some of them are 3.5, 4 hours. Some of them are sort of 6 hours away, and you have to go through the city. And then the southern zone is up to 13, 14 hours away for
All in the one
the
state.
tournaments there. Pardon?
All in the one state.
Yeah, and only the bottom part of the state.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, Jane, what was that story you told us last time about, I think it was your grandfather, was it, riding from way up north? What was that?
So it was my great-grandmother,
Grandmother.
and she used to train a couple of thoroughbred racehorses. My great-grandfather was a horse trainer and horse breaker, but my great-grandmother trained, and I didn't get everything right last time, but she had a horse called Matchlock, which she rode from Marble Bar to Perth to race in the Perth Cup.
Hang on, give us some
Hang
context.
on, I'll get that. I'll get it up now.
How long did this ride take?
1,500 kilometres.
And was that the old school
wow.
fitness regime?
Yeah, I don't know how long that took.
That's 1,500 Ks.
It'll be fit when he got there.
Yeah. He
That's how the
came in
Melbourne
on
Cup-
day one and he was fit by the time they got there.
That's how the Melbourne Cup
now
horses used to all get to Melbourne. Like Archer, I think, was the first horse to win the Melbourne Cup and the second Melbourne Cup, and he got ridden from 1,000 kilometres away as well.
It's so he raced in the Perth Cup and he didn't win. I said he won, but he didn't win. It was a horse called Man Olive who later won, but he didn't come all the way down from Marble Bar. But Matchlock did win a couple of races, but not the Perth Cup.
Awesome.
Talking of travel, my grandparents and my parents, both parents as well, played for WA in WA's first appearance at the Australian Championships, and they first went over and borrowed horses over there, and then the second national titles they went to, they took the horses from WA, it was in Cowra in New South Wales, and we now take 4 or 5 days to get there, and we rush them as quick as we can, get them there, because every day's travel needs a day of rest, and that's how we found them best travelled. And
is that the theory on those big distances?
That's what we've worked out. They get that's the best recovery at the other end.
Yeah, right.
But I've found diaries of, my grandmother was the manager of this team, and so she's written very extensive diaries about every day, how far they drove on gravel, in open top roofs, in open top trucks, and then they gave them 18-mile work each time they stopped
What?
Got them on the truck again, 18 mile. And then they found a tournament or a club that was having a tournament. So then they played the horses along the way. They played in South Australia. They played in Victoria. They went up, they played. And then,
They're just having
strangely
a jolly.
enough, they made it to, I think, might have been the final, but I think it was the semi-final, but they ran out of petrol in their horses. So they didn't actually get the result they wanted at the national titles because their horses were a bit tired from the trip. But huge trip in those days when the majority of the Nullarbor is gravel. Like, I've just come back from East in a truck and it's a long way with bitumen. Would have been a massive effort back then.
So I got a message from Jane as she was driving, because I saw her in Albury at the Nationals when you were coaching the juniors. Is that right?
Yeah, the Australian juniors.
Australian juniors, yeah. And that was really cool to watch the bit that I could watch of that. And then went up in this huge trip back in a brand new truck pretty much too, wasn't it?
Well, new to me, not
Yeah,
brand
a new secondhand, yeah. And on the way back, there's a town called Norseman, which is halfway across the Nullarbor, right the way across, and 20 metres from the service station, she ran out of diesel.
Could be worse.
It could be worse.
But it's good because I now know the limits of the tank. Work that out.
Can you talk us through Albury, the Nationals? Where was that actually played?
Okay, so it wasn't the Nationals this year. It was played at Albury Wodonga. There's a massive equestrian centre there.
Right. So the Nationals are at Warwick, aren't they, or something?
They're every 2 years, and they rotate from state to state.
Oh, right.
Nicholas.
Nick.
Jane, you talk about not riding a horse for more than 20 minutes under pressure. Can you define what you're talking about when you're talking about under pressure?
That term, or me saying that, is relating to exercise when you are putting fitness onto a horse, or once a horse is fit as well. Like, if you're just doing long work and exercise, 20 minutes is the maximum where you stop gaining benefits from working that horse. And so up to 20 minutes, you are putting fitness on them, you are cardio, their muscles, their ligaments, their tendons, their lungs, everything. After 20 minutes, you no longer receive benefits in that long work, and you will start eating into muscles and start damaging rather than benefiting the horse's fitness.
Wow. Yeah, right, that's interesting. How do they test that?
Yeah, where does that come from?
I don't know. Over a long period, it's to do with the lung capacity, the bleeding in the lungs, the glucose, the lactic acid, everything in the muscles, the free radical enzymes that are released that go on. And you then bring out injuries and issues going forward, including fatigue. If you get a horse to a certain level of fitness and take them too far and fatigue that horse, it'll take you 6-8 weeks of rest to ever get that horse back again.
Absolutely.
That's for sure.
No matter what we feed it, no matter how much work we give it, no matter how good we are, that horse cannot reload, repair, regenerate until it's had at least 6 to 8 weeks off again.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Question: while you're on that, you guys play. Just to give a lot of our listeners won't know anything about polocrosse. You guys play one horse per tournament.
Yeah, so it's considered the one horse sport. There are a lot of events where we now bring in multiple horses, but there's rules and conditions that add with that as well. But generally, polocrosse is a one horse sport, and you will start a weekend on one horse, and that horse has to be vetted out, ruled unfit to continue before you can then get on another horse.
Can you give us a little rundown of how the team works, how many players on the field at once, and how the horses get a break?
Okay, so we have a team of 6, and that's broken up into 2 sections.
Sorry, that's a team of 6 players, everyone, not 6 horses.
Yeah, sorry. Team of 6 players, 2 sections of 3 players. We generally play 6 chukkers, and those chukkers are 6 minutes each. The clock starts. The clock does not stop for timeouts, for whistles, for goals. It only stops if the umpire strictly calls a timeout because there's an issue. So our 6-minute chukkers are generally 6 minutes. So a horse, you have a number 1 who's an attacking player, a number 2 who's your centre pivot, and a number 3 who's your defensive player. There are lines drawn on the field, and only the attacking number 1 and the defending number 3 can be in the goal scoring areas, sort of one each end, and everyone's allowed in the middle.
A little bit like netball. A little bit, is it? Like you would say?
It is a cross between polo, lacrosse, and netball.
Good
if you look from above, the polocrosse field's identical to a netball court, other than its size. And you can fit 4 polo cross fields on a polo field.
Is it only 4? Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's broken into 2 sections, a number 1, 2, and 3 in the first section, and then number 1, 2, and 3 in the second section. So Team A, first section will go on, and Team B's first section will go on for 6 minutes. And then at the end of 6 minutes, section 1 comes off, and section 2 for Team A and Team B go on together. So your horse plays 6 minutes, and then it has 6 minutes rest before it goes back on for its next 6 minutes. So you play 18 minutes generally in a game on the one horse.
And what? So it's very important that your horse recovers. What do you do between chukkers to help your horse recover?
Firstly, I make sure it's fit enough to play the level that it's playing.
Brilliant.
And my general rule is, if I am playing like a general tournament, a normal club level tournament is you'll play 3 or 4 games over a Saturday and a Sunday. You'll play 2 games Saturday, a semi, whether it's a winning semi or a losing semi on Sunday morning, and then a final, hopefully, on Sunday afternoon. And if I'm planning or preparing a horse to play 4 games over a weekend, I will make sure it's capable of playing 6 games over a weekend and get it fit enough for that. And then once my horses are fit and they've started playing tournaments, I don't work them a lot during the week. They'll have Monday off. If there's an injury or if one had an issue with a lineup or something it was doing, I will ride it Monday to see if I can work out what the issue is or fix what the problem was. Later in the season, I don't work them Tuesdays either. Wednesday will just be long, slow work. Thursday before a tournament is always a hit out to wind them up and get their lungs opened up and give them a bit of a sprint and short work with the racket. And then I don't work them Friday for a tournament.
Because you're normally travelling Friday, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also we get to tournaments on a Friday afternoon and we'll be set up and I'll see maybe 30 people on the field on their playing horse riding for I don't even know how long and seeing their mates or their teammates and they're playing chukkers just about on a Friday afternoon before a tournament. All you're doing is making your horse's leg tired.
Is that because they can't work them during the week because they've got a job, Janie, or not?
It's because they're excited.
No, I truly believe it's a culture that they've learnt and they just continue to do it. Also, a lot of horses are fed too much, so they tie up if they're not worked for a day.
Hey, just to go back to the recovery between chukkers and between games. So do you give them water? Do you walk them? Do you because you play in some pretty hot conditions too sometimes? Have you got any tips?
yeah, depending on the weather, they're always washed. I take the saddles off. A lot of people just loosen their girth. I take the saddles off. They may get some sort of rug if it's really cold, but they get a wash, they get scraped, they get walked, they get a second wash, they might get a third wash. They're allowed a drink. You guys posted the other day, which I was very impressed to see and agree wholeheartedly that horses, a lot of people don't give them a drink. They're hot and sweaty. Let them drink. We drink. Let them have a drink. They're not allowed heats between chukkers, but let them have a good drink and cool them down as much as you can. I let the water wash them down, let the water sit, let the water take some heat out of the horses before you scrape it off. Sometimes we have people that are washing or wetting them and then scraping the water off before the water's had time to sit there for any advantage. Let the water gather some of that heat before you scrape it off.
Good tip.
And keep them moving, keep them walking.
So, Jane, for our polo listeners that don't know polocrosse, can you give us the basic differences between the polo and the polocrosse horse?
The majority of polocrosse horses are heavier.
Heavier set, you mean?
Yeah, more muscle, shorter legs. There was a time where the stock horses became too small and a lot of people were getting very almost quarter horsey type horses, but thankfully they've gone away from that again. There's a lot of thoroughbred stock horse crosses in polocrosse, so you and in Queensland especially, and all around the world, each country has its little bit different style horses, but some play more leggy polo type. But the majority of polocrosse horses are a bit smaller and a bit heavier set than polo ponies. And because of that.
Yeah, sorry. That's the ones that we see in Australia as well. But then just thinking about what you said, but you told me about, and I've seen the South Africans play, they play predominantly thoroughbreds in a different style of polocrosse. Is that correct?
So they play the overhand rule.
Yeah.
So Australians play underhand. You're not allowed to throw over. Well, you are allowed to throw overhand, but the ball must leave your racket before you cross the centre line of your horse. Whereas the overhand rule, if you're in the act of throwing the ball, passing, or throwing a goal, you're allowed to cross the centre line of your horse. So that encourages more of a faster running game. They play what we call a ball sport. We play what you call a horse sport.
Yeah.
The ball will travel faster than a horse, and they send the ball a lot, whereas we carry the ball on the horses a lot more than they do, which to me...
Not when I hit it.
Nick May, I was just thinking, you could be Norway's 10-goal polocrosse player.
Yes.
10-goal polocrosse player and 10-goal polo player.
First person in history to ever become dual 10-goalers.
Yeah. And national 3-day event. No, I think they got 3-day events already. Yeah. No, yeah. Polocrosse, maybe jousting. Let's do it. Let's do it.
10 pegging.
Did you say that you qualified for the British Triathlon, Nick?
The Ironman, UK Ironman. Yeah. Qualified.
Was it heptathlon? I thought you were good at a lot of things.
Yeah, no, I used to do that, but the sword there was an unfortunate incident with the sword fighting. So
it'd be more of a heptathlon, wouldn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No, I've qualified for the Ironman. I'll be handing out oranges at the 16-mile marker point.
Anyway, sorry, back to being normal. Now, Jane, I love one of your quotes from the podcast with your American friend, and it says, when you are tired and when the horse is tired, bad decisions are made. And I think that is just a fantastic statement for anything. Just elaborate.
So good.
When we run out of oxygen, the first part in our body to be less responsive are our extremities, so our hands and our feet. And then our brain. And we don't necessarily make the best decisions when we're tired. When a horse is tired and they become heavy, and our arms are tired and we're not making the best decisions, for me is when injuries occur.
That's the worst part, yeah.
And that's with injuries and people, because if your horses are heavier and heavier and you're already making bad decisions and so's old mate next to you, you cause problems. It's so with the Americans, New South, and always in polocrosse, they were 8-minute chukkers, not 6 minutes.
Whoa.
And they still play a lot of 8-minute chukkers in New South Wales, and all of America. I think I've changed it. I hope I've changed it. I'm going then there in about 6 weeks, so hopefully I'll see a lot of 6-minute chukkers. The game has evolved a lot since 8-minute chukkers. The racket, or the net in the racket, is deeper, so people can carry the ball a lot better. It used to be a bit like an egg and spoon. You can just ride past somebody and the wind will blow the ball out of the racket. But now you can like stop, start, turn. People can hit your racket a number of times, and if you're good enough, you can still hang on to the ball. So your horse is working so much more. They have to stop, turn, take the hits. Like they do so much more than they used to. So the reason that came up with the Americans was when I went there to coach the Americans, they said, we want to learn from you, but we don't want to play your rough style of polocrosse. And firstly, I was a little bit offended because there's a massive difference for me between tough and rough. And I love tough polocrosse.
Yeah, you do.
And I love tough polo as well. As tough as it comes, all day. Love it. But I hate rough. I don't like people that bash and crash and injure horses, especially in polocrosse. You have the one horse, and you don't want that horse injured and not being able to continue because somebody has roughly caused injury.
Yeah.
And for me, the last 2 minutes of most polocrosse becomes rough because horses and people are tired. But anyway, I said to them, look, I don't play rough. I don't like rough. I play a lot of tough polocrosse, and I will teach you that. And they said, well, you need to be nicer to your horses. And I said, okay. So they play polocrosse Saturday and Sunday. They ride their horses twice a week. Normally it was Saturdays and Sundays. And then they play them 8-minute chukkers. But they patted them a lot. And they gave them carrots and they gave them apples and they gave them cuddles and more pats. And I started to see all of this as we went along. And I was like, okay, I don't pat my horses as much as you guys. I love my horses though, and I prepare them to do what I want them to do. And I ask a lot. And my dad used to walk around behind me if I was anywhere where we were borrowing horses and say, oh, she's really hard on them. Like, she asks a lot. Just be careful which ones you give her. Because I do. I override a lot of horses, but I prepare them. Pardon?
Thanks, Dad.
Thanks, Dad. Yes, I ask a lot, but I prepare them to do the job that I need them to do. And for me, preparing them and then playing them hard, but they're capable of it, is a lot kinder on a horse than not riding them for 5 days and then playing
100%.
8-minute chukkers. It's cruel.
100%.
And it took a while, but we got to that level where they realised we're actually not being nice to our horses. Because we're asking them to do a job they're not capable of doing. A horse, whether it's playing polo or playing polocrosse, only needs to be 2 things. It needs to be well fed and it needs to be fit. It doesn't need to be anything else. It's better when they're well bred, it's better when they're well educated and well trained, and it's better when they're the right conformation, but they don't have to be any of those things.
No.
Yes, sir.
That's great advice. Glenn, is now a good time to get into the American story? Because I want to hear about
Yeah,
Jane's
well, yeah,
adventures
we've
over.
just touched on it, Janie. So tell us, you told me that you coached the USA to try and improve their game internationally. They were seventh on the ladder, and for the 2011 World Cup, you got them to fourth, which was an incredible thing when you consider that the polocrosse nations that are, the stock standard ones that have been around forever, and you pushed that that team to get to that. Tell us about that.
So I wasn't playing or planning to play for Australia at that time. I was having children. And the Americans asked if I'd come over and do some clinics, which I did, and then asked if I'd coach the World Cup, which I said yes to, but it was a long process to get them ready. The biggest thing was instilling a belief in their abilities, because they had the skills. And they were cocky, but they didn't have that real confidence because they didn't believe in what they could do.
Wow.
Which I think that's everybody a bit. Everyone can have the skills, but if you don't have that mental toughness and that real belief in what you can do, you can't go that next step. They have a lot of numbers in America, and they have some very good players. It's now part of the Pony Club syllabus in America, polocrosse is. So if you do Pony Club, you have to do polocrosse, which has increased the numbers a massive amount. I went over a number of times, and the last time I went for 3 months, and I went to 17 states, and worked with all of their players, including their elite players, which we got together in Texas, and then we also got together in Pinehurst in North Carolina. I brought a team of Australians over, 3 men and 3 women, to play against their men and women. And sometimes it was against them, Australia, or the Aussies that I had against the American squad, and sometimes I put one Australian in between 2 of the Americans in each team, and just played as much polocrosse as we could, did as much fitness on the players as we could, did a lot of weight training, did a lot of mental preparation, a lot of work on focus. Yep.
Does that include video analysis?
Yep. Video's huge. Like I play a bit of golf now, not very much.
What?
I'd like to do more, but if you can get in a simulator, okay, and same as polocrosse, you would do it with the polo swing, I'm sure, because of the technicalities that go with that swing. Like, it's not strength, it's all technique. Correct. And if you can be told 10 times what you're doing, and you kind of listen and you kind of think you're fixing it, then you watch it on a video, it's so clear. When you see it, you think, oh my goodness, I really do, and I'm not getting better. So I need to change something. Nick.
You were talking a little bit about the coaching there. You were talking about the mental toughness and the stress management. How do you coach people through that level of adversity and stopping them getting overstressed and over anxious?
There's focus, and then there's calmness as well, which sort of go together. There's 2 dimensions of attention, which is your width, which is broad and narrow, and then there's your direction, which is internal and external. And we use all 4 types.
Hang on.
That results in 4 types. Sorry?
Just to explain that again, I don't really understand it.
No.
When we focus, or when we're trying to concentrate, there are 2 dimensions of attention. Yep. So the first dimension is your width.
He's only got one. Ainsley's only got one.
If that.
If that. Sometimes.
Butterfly.
Fair enough.
Shiny things. I like shiny things.
Shiny things.
Fair enough. Yep.
So one dimension is the width. So it's either broad or it's narrow.
Oh, okay, yeah.
The second dimension is the direction, whether it's external or internal. And so then that results in 4 different types of attention that we use, especially in sports. First is your external and broad attention, and we would use that to scan the field quickly. Like, where is everyone else? What is my next, like, see where everyone is. Then there's internal and broad. So we're still thinking broad focus, but internal is, what am I going to do for the next play? What is my decision, developing a plan from where I am now to get to a goal or to get to that player or whatever that might be. Then you've got external and narrow. So it's outside, but very narrow focus would be the ball.
Yep.
Or a player, but normally it's the ball. And then you've got internal and narrow, which is controlling your emotions. And I think that's the biggest thing that people from a high level then to an elite level is controlling those emotions, that resilience.
Where have you learned that, Jane? That's just awesome.
Yeah.
I learnt that at the Australian Institute of Sport.
What? When were you there?
I've been there a number of times, and we had a psych talk to us on one of the trips, and we did a lot on mental toughness.
Huh.
And that...
Did you teach him a few things about that?
Pardon?
Did you teach him a few things about mental toughness?
Yeah, I bet. But how do you the emotional one, like how do you coach that, or how do you have an impact on players as a coach?
It's all in preparation. Same as your horses and then your players, or you as an individual, is if you prepare, like each sport has a number of skills, and I get my players to actually write those skills down. What does it take to be a good polo player or a good polocrosse player? So you've got stick work, you've got riding, you've got horsemanship, which is way different to riding. Teamwork, communication, all of those things. Resilience is one, fitness is one. So you write all of those skills down and then rate yourself from 1 to 10. Where am I now? If I'm honest, because honesty is huge in wanting to get better. Don't listen to mum who says, gee, you went well, darling. You were amazing. You should have been in that team. Because mum doesn't always tell you the truth. And quite often you'll know, gee, I was terrible. And someone will go, gee, you played well. You're amazing.
Yeah,
like,
what
oh,
were you
thanks.
watching?
No, I must have been good. But in your head, your subconscious, which doesn't have a sense of humour, is going, they're liars. You know you sucked. Right. Listen to people who are honest and real, and be honest and real with yourself if you truly want to get better.
Yeah, wow.
That is awesome.
Nick.
I got a question. If you're on a team and you see somebody, either you're on your team or you're coaching, and you see somebody is getting, over anxious or is getting, really, really fired up, to the point where it's becoming detrimental to the performance of the team, how do you then cope with that?
I, as an intermediate player, so from about 16 years old to about 20 years old, had serious performance anxiety. Mm-hmm. And I talk to a lot of that age group and say, who gets nervous? And the ones that don't put their hand up, I'm just like, why do you even play sport if you don't get nervous? And then the next question is, who cares if they win or lose? And it's normally the same people but put their hand up. Like I'm more scared of losing than I'm scared of getting hurt. I'm not always successful, but there's not many people more competitive than me. And that's why a couple of people have asked me why I don't play high level anymore. It's because there's some I couldn't cope if some people beat me. And I'm at a stage where I'm not prepared to put 100% in, and without that 100%, I won't win. So it's easier I just won't do that anymore because I can't be beaten by some people.
That is brilliant.
That is so good.
And that's okay.
That might just pretty much sum you up all in one.
That's nearly Stewie as well. But like,
that's where all the drive and dedication and all the other bits we're talking about actually comes from.
It's not. I mean, it does help. Your horses help. Your training helps. Everything you've done helps. But if you don't have it within, none of the rest of it can work. You must have deep down inside that want, because you can't teach that.
How do you cultivate that? How do you cultivate it in a team? That's a tough one.
Oh.
Team is huge. Like especially in polocrosse and especially at the moment, like I've had a big couple of months just recently. We went to New Zealand in that ladies team. And then we had another ladies test series in May. And so that was seven lady team in New Zealand and then a 7 lady team in Warwick in Queensland. And those 2 tournaments were also a selection tournament for our World Cup. So 4 women will get selected out of that. So those ladies, they're playing together in a team, but they're also competitors or competing for 4 spots in a World Cup team. And it's a massive thing to have to help keep that team as a team. Your teammates, you've got a common goal. That common goal is to win. And keep that foremost rather than I need to be better than the person next to me. But I think at that level, once you get to that level, if you don't have that common goal as your biggest thing, then you're not normally there. They're serious competitors. They're there for a reason. They're at that level because they win. The win is above all else, and they find ways together to get that win. But going back to what Nick said with the performance anxiety, for me, you can't teach that. That's a lot of people, especially in that young group, they get like that because it means so much to them. And once you help them understand that you can channel those nerves and use those nerves positively. Like, nerves are just the body preparing for battle. It's adrenaline. You just have to find a way to channel it correctly. And it's a learned process. You need to go back to your focus of where am I and where's the ball. Focus means now. You can't concentrate on the play you just made or the mistake you just made or the call the umpire made. You can't concentrate on the next play. You have to concentrate on where am I and where's the ball. And then it's a learned thing. You actually have to practice it. And I go through a lot of breathing techniques with people. A lot of techniques where, okay, I've made a mistake. Stop, think about, or close your eyes even, see yourself making that mistake. Now visualize yourself doing it properly. So you leave a positive in your mind, and then where am I, where's the ball, start again.
Yeah, wow.
Nick.
That's great.
Jane, we're getting into a massive area here. I would like to propose that we do a second one, second episode just on coping strategies. I've specifically, and the reason I asked this is, obviously I've not played for a while, but when I did play, I used to find that, I don't know whether it was the stress or the excitement, the adrenaline or whatever, but I would become increasingly aggressive in the way that I played as the game went on, to the point where I almost couldn't control myself. And, which was not a good look at all. So I'm really interested from personal perspective, and I've not played for a long time. And one of the things that I'm worried about, if I ever do go back to playing, is have I overcome that with the experiences that I've had in the last, 10, 15 years? or am I still that person when it comes down to sort of the crunch? So I'm really, really interested in that, but I'm extremely interested in the things that we're just touching on. And I'm very aware of the fact that we're at an hour and a quarter and we're just going away from horses, which is great. And we're getting into the coaching, and I'd love to know more about the coaching. Glenn, what do you think?
I agree. And Jane, just touching on the last point that we talked about was how do you cope with someone that's possibly, losing it on the field or whatever? A lot of that is done before you get on the field because you've actually grabbed hold of them and you're in a team that you're coaching and you're talking to them and giving them, plans and whatever it is. And so much of that is done, as I'm sure you would have got to, is the fact that so much of that can be dealt with before they even get to that point. So hopefully they never do.
Yeah. And you learn triggers, you learn what is going to upset you, you learn to feel yourself getting to the point where I am going to lose it.
Yeah.
You learn, like, right from what do I do on the morning of a big game?
Yeah.
Have a pre-game routine, have dinner the night before the same, have a plan that will ultimately get you in the best headspace to start. If you're stressed beforehand, that triggers as well. Sorry, Nick.
Yeah. So I've got an idea, Glenn, and I'd love you to jump in on this. I think we'd like to give you a homework assignment, Jane, if you're up for it, in the fact that obviously the format of the episodes that we have is we fire loads of questions at you, which takes us away from a sort of structure, which I know that a lot of coaching is about structure and preparation. If you're up for it, would you be able to do a coaching masterclass for us and take us through all of the preparatory phases of coaching, how you would go before a game, how you get set up at the game, during the game, and then after the game? Would that be something that you would do for us? Please say yes.
Yeah, sure, I can do that because you
You
said
had
please.
some notes there, Jane, that you were looking at, which I was really, I was fascinated by. Is there anything else that you want to touch on? We've probably got another 3 or 4 minutes. Is there anything you want to touch on now, or do you want to
I had a list of questions that Nick sent me,
Yeah,
and I think
we nearly covered
we're
them.
not very good at following the questions, but
Yeah, we sort of did, but
yeah,
I know
no,
what you mean.
it for me, like, they could ask me who are the best 5 polo players I believe, or who are the best 5 polocrosse players who I think, and all of them are where they're at because they do the basic skills phenomenally well.
Yes.
They don't necessarily do anything flashy or fantastic. You get people that come through the sports that are flashy for a while, but they don't remain there over a period of time, especially in polocrosse. You'll get someone who gets a really good horse that they get along with and works for them, and they will be a flash in the pan. They'll be there for a while and then they go again. But the ones that have all the basic skills and do them really well stay there for a long, long time. And one of the biggest things for me is focus.
Yeah.
Players that can focus and have the ability to make smart decisions under huge amounts of pressure, they're the ones that you want to look at, and their mental toughness is what keeps everything else together. And preparation helps with that, but that ability to focus is what trumps all.
Awesome. What a way to finish.
That is an absolute finish and a fantastic look forward. It's been a brilliant episode. I'm going into Glenn's role.
No, I'm only just starting. You can finish, big boy.
Nope.
Mate.
No,
Jane, I've loved having you, being around you, and I'm just seeing this other side of you that you've done with the AIS and stuff. I'm fascinated. I didn't realise that you'd been there so much. I knew you were a really good coach because of your passion for the game, but the way you've taken on the stuff that people have sent you, and I'm in the same role at the moment, coaching in England. I'm really enjoying it, and those few things that you've just touched on there, they're amazing. So anyway, thank you so much. I hope you've enjoyed it. Have you enjoyed it?
Yeah, I've loved it. It's been great to chat. And
why do you sound so surprised?
Really
Why do you? Why do you sound surprised at that, Jane?
I'm not surprised at all. I'm just,
Great recovery.
I've enjoyed it.
Good on you. You're awesome, Jane. Thank you so much. Nicholas, we've lost Ross, but he's dropped out. But, mate, thank you so much. And, Janie, can't wait till this goes out and you can share it with all your polocrosse people, and we'll end up with hopefully a whole new segment of fans that we can do some stuff with. Oh, last question. Nick, what's the question we asked Jane?
The last question is, Jane, who do you want us to interview?
Oh, you didn't prepare me for that.
No.
Anthony Hopkins, no.
That would be good.
That would be good.
I
got a number for
don't
him?
know. There's lots of people. Off the top of my head. No, I don't. I can't. There's too many. Can I think about it?
Yeah.
Absolutely. And then, I should have put that on the list
But
of
I
questions.
just have to. Can I just butt in there as well? I just have to say I love the podcast. It's outstanding, and I share it a lot, and I listen to it a lot, and I go back to them, and it's great. And I think, Glenn, you being at Albury was really good because a couple of people knew you. A couple of people asked about you. Glenn actually spoke to my Australian junior team for me, who were playing against South Africa, which was fantastic. But I reckon we picked up quite a few people at Albury because you were there and we could spruik you a bit. And I keep getting messages, phone calls about the podcast. It's a great, great podcast. So keep it up. Love
Thanks,
it.
Jane. That's amazing.
Thanks,
I
Jane.
really
That's
enjoyed it
awesome.
down there, and I love meeting everyone. So I'd like to do it again.
I'm also available to come down at some stage.
When I get to Norway with the polocrosse,
Yes.
we'll get you to 8 goals in a weekend, I reckon.
Woo-hoo-hoo.
Only 8. Oh, okay.
Well, you've got to work on the other 2.
Oh, there you go. Boom.
There we go. There we go. Brilliant. That's awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thanks, Janie. Loved it.